Most people spend their entire lives working, only to die broke. They go to school, get the job, follow the rules. Yet somehow, 97% still end up financially stuck. Or worse, dependent. Why? If you're searching for the keys to unlock wealth and freedom, you're in the right place. Let's open the vault. Because the truth isn't what they taught you. It's what they forgot to tell you. You were born into a system. Not one designed to make you rich, powerful, or free, but one built to keep you in line. From the earliest days of your life, you were trained to follow. Raise your hand. Memorize facts. Don't ask too many questions. Do as you're told. It's called education, but it's really indoctrination. A script handed to you before you were old enough to question it. Get good grades. Get a degree. Get a job. Work for decades. Save a little. Retire when you're old, if you're lucky. That's the formula they gave you. But look around, the world is full of people who followed that formula exactly, and still ended up broke. The truth is uncomfortable but necessary. The system was never designed for your success. It was built to benefit the top, while the rest stay busy, distracted, and obedient. It produces workers, not thinkers. Consumers, not creators. Debtors, not decision-makers. It convinces you to exchange your time for money, and your dreams for security. That's why 97% of people will spend their entire lives working, and still die financially dependent. Not because they were lazy. Not because they were stupid. But because they never knew they were trapped. Trapped by beliefs they didn't choose. Trapped by habits they didn't question. Trapped inside a life that was designed for them, not by them. But here's the truth that breaks the cycle: you don't have to stay in the 97%. You don't have to repeat the pattern. The first step to freedom isn't outside of you, it's inside your awareness. When you finally see the trap for what it is, you unlock the ability to escape it. That's the beginning of wealth. That's the beginning of everything. From the moment we could understand language, we were told a story: work hard, and you'll succeed. It sounds noble, honest, even moral. But is it true? Look around. Some of the hardest working people in society, cleaners, factory workers, nurses, construction laborers, grind day and night. They sweat. They sacrifice. They give their all. And yet, many of them struggle to pay rent. Meanwhile, someone builds a digital product, owns a business, or leverages a system, and earns more in a month than the average worker does in a year. So what's going on? Why does hard work not guarantee success? Because hard work is only one part of the equation. And without the right strategy, direction, and mindset, it often leads nowhere. The system conditions you to believe that effort is everything. But effort without knowledge is waste. Motion without purpose is stagnation. The wealthy understand this. They don't just work hard, they work smart. They don't just clock in, they create systems. They don't just save, they invest. And they don't sell their time, they buy back their freedom. The difference isn't in how hard they work, it's in what they work on. The 97% are trained to trade time for money. But time is limited. Money isn't. The 3% understand that if you want to build true wealth, you have to escape that trap. You have to build things that make money even when you're not working. Whether it's content, real estate, digital assets, or systems, leverage is the secret. Most people are exhausted, not because they're weak, but because they're pushing against the wrong wall. The illusion of hard work keeps them stuck in the maze. Until you learn how to multiply your effort, you'll always be a prisoner to your own energy. That's not freedom, it's glorified struggle. If you're broke, it's not just about money. It's about programming. Because money doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. And most people have been mentally conditioned to fail long before they even touch a dollar. From childhood, we're bombarded with messages that quietly shape our beliefs. Money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. I'm just not good with money. These aren't just phrases, they're seeds. And once planted, they grow into internal truths. They become your financial identity. And whether you realize it or not, you begin to live them out. That's why people can win the lottery and lose it all within years. That's why someone can double their income, but still feel broke. Because if your mind isn't upgraded, no amount of money can save you. You'll sabotage it. Spend it. Fear it. Or avoid it. The external always follows the internal. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your patterns. And if those patterns are built on scarcity, fear, or shame, you'll unconsciously recreate those emotions, no matter how much you earn. This is the part they don't teach in school. They don't talk about mindset. They don't show you how to reshape your beliefs, rewire your thinking, or create mental alignment with abundance. Instead, they teach formulas and memorization, how to pass tests, not how to pass life. Meanwhile, the wealthy are trained differently. They are exposed to confidence, ownership, and possibility from a young age. Not everyone starts there, but everyone can get there. Your brain is reprogrammable. And when you begin to shift what you believe about money, success, and self-worth, your actions begin to change. And when your actions change, your reality transforms. The chains aren't around your hands. They're in your head. Break them, and you break free. Let's get brutally honest. The real reason most people stay broke isn't lack of opportunity, intelligence, or even resources. It's comfort. That may sound strange, because no one likes being broke. But many people have become emotionally comfortable with the discomfort. They know how to survive. They know how to complain. They know how to wish things were different without ever doing anything different. And so, they stay stuck. Not because they can't grow, but because growth requires change. And change? It's scary. It threatens the identity they've clung to for years. It demands that they let go of excuses, familiar habits, and relationships that reinforce the old version of themselves. The truth is, most people won't escape poverty, not because they don't want to, but because they're unwilling to face what it takes. They'd rather blame the economy than build new skills. They'd rather scroll endlessly than read a book. They'd rather wait for motivation than act from discipline. Why? Because it's easier. It's easier to repeat than reinvent. And that's what separates the 3% from the 97%. The wealthy are not necessarily smarter. They are just more willing to be uncomfortable. They're willing to be misunderstood. To fail publicly. To outgrow their old identity. To walk away from distractions and focus when others won't. Most people don't even realize they've made comfort their god. They don't realize their loyalty to their limitations. They think they're being realistic, but what they're really doing is negotiating with their dreams. And the cost of that negotiation is massive. It's a lifetime of mediocrity disguised as stability. But once you decide that comfort is no longer worth the price of your potential, everything begins to shift. You stop settling. You start moving. And for the first time, your future begins to look different than your past. There's a truth that almost no one talks about. It's not taught in school. It's rarely mentioned in the media. And yet, it's the foundation of every wealthy, fulfilled, and free individual you've ever admired. The truth is this: you don't need permission to become rich. Not from your parents. Not from your boss. Not from society. You don't need to be born into it. You don't need luck. You don't even need a perfect plan. What you need is a shift, a radical change in how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. Because once you change your self-image, your results start to match the new standard you've set. Most people never reach that point, because they're waiting. Waiting for signs. Waiting for the right time. waiting until they feel ready. And that waiting becomes a lifestyle. But the top 3%, they don't wait. They act. They fail forward. They start before they feel ready. Because they understand that clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. They don't get rich overnight. They get rich over time by aligning their habits with their vision. They build. They learn. They adjust. They grow. And that growth becomes the engine that pulls their future forward. While others are afraid to start, they're busy becoming. That's the difference. You have that same ability. Right now. In this moment. You're not too late. You're not too far behind. You're not underqualified. That voice in your head telling you to play small, it's a lie. And the longer you listen to it, the longer you stay broke. The truth that sets you free is this: you were never meant to be average. But it's up to you to rise above the programming, and step into the life you were born to build. If you're still here, it means something inside you is waking up. Maybe it's been quiet for years, buried under doubt, distractions, or fear. But now it's stirring. And that's not an accident. Because awareness is the first step to transformation. Most people will hear this message, and scroll on. They'll go back to their routine. Back to comfort. Back to autopilot. But you stayed. You listened. That already puts you in the minority. And now comes the most important part: what will you do next? Because nothing changes unless you do. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to make one new decision. One new habit. One new standard. Read the book you've been putting off. Start the project you keep avoiding. Say no to distractions that steal your focus. Say yes to the version of you that's been waiting to emerge. The journey to wealth is not a straight line. It's messy. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. But it's worth it. Because every time you choose growth over comfort, you move one step closer to freedom. Not just financial freedom, but mental freedom. Spiritual freedom. The kind of freedom that can't be taken away. The kind that makes you unstoppable. And it all starts now. Not next week. Not when things settle down. Now. Your old life ends the moment you decide it's no longer acceptable. And your new life begins the second you choose to build it, one key at a time. This is one key, but if you want the whole vault, subscribe. Because here on Master Key, we don't just talk about success. We unlock it, piece by piece, truth by truth. Welcome to your new chapter. Your future is waiting.